Hello, friends. Welcome back to I See Melanie. We're here again to talk about Heated Rivalry, episode 3, entitled Hunter, because we're talking about Scott Hunter. So I'm excited to explore this kind of tragic story about our New York hockey player. So let's get into it. But before we do, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you hype the video and come back because there'll be a new episode of Heated Rivalry playing in just over 24 hours. So I will probably have my video available to you within the next 48 hours, 36 hours or so. So you don't want to miss that. But let's talk about episode 3 right now. This is the episode where Scott meets Kip. And this is the episode that I learned as a grown geriatric millennial that Kip is short for Christopher. No idea. So I'm glad I learned something today. So if you're a Walking Dead fan, this episode might feel like the episode in season 6 after Glenn fell in a particular commercial waste receptacle. I'm not going to spoil Walking Dead, even though this happened like 10 years ago. So that was at a point where something huge happened, and then the next episode we totally cut to a different character. And we want to see how things go. We want to see the momentum, what's going on with Shane and Ilya. We have a 1 week break. It's not that bad. And I remember like during the Walking Dead days, I could not appreciate that episode. But in the rewatch, it was really, really good. And so I watched this episode on Friday night when it came out. And then I watched it yesterday in preparation for this video today. And I appreciate it even more when I was writing my notes for this video. I'm like, oh, this is a lot. So it was a very good episode, and so let's get into it. So let's just talk about these small little glimpses we got of Ilya and Hollander right off the bat. So we see Ilya's there, my darling Ilya. He has just won the game. He is saying good game to all of the players that are coming off the field with the I love you, I love you, I love you, which is so cute. He's so cute. Then he trash talks Scott for losing. And then we see a clip later where Hollander and Scott are kind of getting into it a little bit, trash talking too. And then Scott says, "You're beginning to sound like him." And Shane doesn't like this at all. And they start arguing and then fighting on the rink. So I would love to hear the words they were actually exchanging, because that could have revealed a lot to a lot of people around if they're receptive enough to hear what they were saying, if they were saying what I suspect they might have been. And so we saw clips before, I believe, or throughout the episode, where people have been making comments about Scott, saying that he's not performing very well. And he is an older player, so they're implying, oh, maybe he's washed up, maybe he should quit, he's not doing very well. So, Scott can't like that or like that feeling. So let me talk about my read on Scott. So obviously we know he's closeted. That's a given. And seeing as he's older than Shane, he has been closeted for longer. So he's been living with this burden for, 10 years longer than Shane has. And because he's older and naturally a bit wiser, he probably picks up that Shane is gay or could be gay as well. Because there are a lot of things that people say or things they don't say that really reveal a lot about them. And he probably sees a lot of his younger self or even his current self in Shane today. And in the past episodes, he's made some little comments like, oh, I'm staying in the room next to Hollander. Oh, your boy Hollander. It's like, oh, I didn't mean like your boy. I just mean like your friend, your boy. Because you guys are always just mentioned in the same breath because you're both the captains of the team. He knows. And I think he is either mentioning those things to get Shane maybe to share with him. Maybe they can have a conversation about being closeted, hockey players. Or maybe he's telling him this to let him know, like, I'm on to you. And that means potentially other people are on to you too. Or it also could be he is a bit resentful of Shane in a way, thinking, okay, well, you're younger. You came up in a different time. Maybe you might feel a bit more ease in coming out than I would because I'm 10 years older. I have no idea. It could be a combination of all those things. It could be none of those things. But he definitely knows that Shane is gay. We later find out that his parents were killed in a car crash. They were hit by a drunk driver, and this happened when he was 12. So it's like over 30 years ago. And so she says he's still not over it, which makes sense. Like, how could you get over such a senseless killing of your parents at such a big age, or a young age, I should say, sorry. And so he has been working with this charity. I wasn't exactly sure how it all correlated, but whoever is in charge of this charity, I guess, was instrumental, pivotal in his life. And of course, now he's a big time athlete. So he feels indebted to this organization. He wants to be the spokesperson for this organization, be the face of it, because he is the living embodiment of what this organization can do for a young man who wants to be a hockey player or needs a sense of community in whatever way. And we'll talk a bit more about this when we get to the Kip section, but obviously, like Shane, Scott feels a huge responsibility on his shoulders, and he can't come out at this time because he has so many people depending on him, so many people looking at him in a certain way, and he just can't take on that extra burden or stress or whatever the word is in coming out. He can't do it right now. So I'm sure anybody who has come out or is stressing about coming out can relate to Scott. So I have a friend who came out to me and our friend group, and he's talked about this online, but I won't go into like too many details. But he said that, when he was, in the closet and debating whether he should come out, like he felt as though he was like living two lives, two very stressed out lives, because again, he had to present as this straight presenting guy, and he couldn't be truthful to the people around him about, his real identity. And, me and my other girlfriends, like he knows fully well. He knew the entire time that we are, of course, very accepting and welcoming. And we loved like having gay friends because we don't discriminate against people. We're good people. But again, a lot of times, people, and even people in my life, I have seen this, they get kind of frustrated that people don't come out. It's like, it is not about you. Like there was one friend who I hope isn't watching this now, said like, I don't understand why he won't come out to us. And I said, this person needs to do it on their own time. It's not about him not trusting us or not, worrying about what we'll think per se, because he knows what we think, but it's not about us. People need to come out on their own timeline. So I can't imagine, like, it seems like a very tough thing to go through, but it's one of those things, like with many big decisions or huge feelings that you have to be comfortable in yourself. You can't have somebody else force you out of the closet or force you to make a big decision about your life. You're in the driver's seat of your life. And it's just good to have people around you who will be encouraging and accepting and will love you regardless. But in the end, you have to do it for yourself. And it's unfortunate because I'm guessing Scott is about 35 years old because the actor Francois Arnault, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, he's 40. He looks very good for 40. He's younger than me, so whatever, but he looks really good. Anyway, I'm guessing the character is about 35 years old. So that's a long time to still be in the closet. So every day must be torture for him. And if he had a different job, if he was an accountant or if he worked at a gym or I don't know, anywhere else, he would probably feel more free to come out, but he's a very public person. He's a celebrity. He's a captain. He has a lot of things, sponsorships, everyone else's career, the reputation of the team, all rests on his shoulders. So unfortunately, he feels as though he can't come out right now. Now let's go on to Kip and Scott's meeting. So could you imagine being a poor university student working at a coffee shop or a juice bar, and one day a very attractive man who's very fit comes in, starts flirting with you, gives you an exorbitant tip, and is just so nice to you, and he keeps on coming in, and then eventually, he asks you to be his man, kind of. Like, could you imagine just the meeting? Like, I used to work at a movie theater when I was in high school and university, and nobody came to my concession stand. My life might be very different if that happened. But anyway, so we see Kip, nice young man. He's he's trying to get into art school, postgraduate, and he works at this juice bar. And side note, when we see the front of the juice bar, we see that it's called Strawberry. And I know this is based in Brooklyn in 2012 in New York. So the first thing I thought of was Strawberry, the clothing store. So if you're from New York, you've been to New York and you were, young back in 2012, 2013, you probably have purchased some clothes from Strawberry. And I was so sad when I went back, I don't know, maybe when I went back maybe in 2018 or something and it was gone. So yeah, Strawberry was a great place to shop for nice, cheap, and trendy clothes. And another side note, this is set in Brooklyn in 2013, 2014-ish. So at the height of the hipster movement, which I see a lot of Gen Zs are romanticizing these days. It's really interesting. I guess back in New York, especially in Brooklyn, that was the height of Lana Del Rey, the height of Pabst Blue Ribbon, and everything hipster, the glasses and everything. And it's just interesting that a guy who's an art student, so he's busy and he studies art, has time to go to the gym because he was pretty fit as well. So yeah, all the men in the show are very attractive, have nice bodies. Again, I'm not objectifying, but I see what I see. It's right there on the screen. I can't not say it. Also, that's the emptiest juice bar ever. And we see that Kip and his dad have a very lovely relationship. And another side note, the actor who plays Kip's dad, his name is Matt Gordon. And he was on another American-Canadian TV collabo show called Rookie Blue. And I used to watch that all the time in 2010. It ran from 2010 to 2015. And I actually met him in, I think, maybe 2014 or so. I met him at a hat store, I think, on Queen Street West. He was there with his young son. I saw him. I'm like, are you the guy from Rookie Blue? And he said, yeah, nice to meet you. And he was so nice and lovely. So it's so fitting that he's playing a lovely father on this show because, yeah, he was very nice to me that day. When Scott and Kip meet up serendipitously at that gala, Scott later asks him to go to some Mexican place after the event is done. And so they go there, they see that the Paloma is pretty busy, and they both don't want to go, but they don't want to go for different reasons. Kip doesn't want to go because he doesn't want to wait in a long line. Scott doesn't want to go because he sees that it's busier than it might typically be, and he can't be seen there on, a dinner date or out with a man because he could potentially be outed, and we know he's just not ready yet. So they go back to his place. And another side note, I was looking at the exterior because there's, we see Kip walk in, he's looking at all the buildings and things, and I see some very familiar scenes, very familiar buildings. And later on, you can see the outside even better. And I was looking at it like, yeah, this looks very familiar. It's like, that's my neighborhood. So I wonder if I zoom in like really tight, I can probably see me walking to my gym or something because, yeah, that's very close to me. I was there just yesterday. So anyway, he goes back and he's looking at this beautiful view outside. And then he turns his head and he sees a very beautiful view inside. And so things are about to happen. And so they go and they have sex. They have a nice time. And then they wake up in the morning and Scott's like, oh, please don't leave. Please don't leave. He's like, no, I'll stay. I'll hang out. And then Scott he lays it out on Kip. And he prefaces it by saying he can be intense sometimes, and he did not lie. Could you imagine? You have a one-night stand with a man, a celebrity in this case, an athlete in this case, but even if it's just like a regular guy, a rich guy or an average guy, whatever. And after the first night that you guys hook up, you haven't even gone on a proper date yet, and I guess you can't with him because he's closeted. He asks you to basically like be his boyfriend and to stay in the house and to move in with you right away? That was very quick. That was a little intense. I don't know. If I heard that, I think I'd be a bit creeped out, quite frankly. And I think only because he is a celebrity, I don't know if this is true, only because he is a celebrity and he has that public accountability. And we later learn that he's very accountable to the public. That's why he hasn't come out. Maybe he wouldn't kill you or do anything wrong to you because he would have a lot of eyeballs on him. But do you guys think that's a lot? Because I think that was really, really intense. But I did appreciate the fact that he was open and the fact that he is not open to coming out for the next few years, that he is closeted, he's working on it, but he has his anxiety and he can't do it. So I'm glad he said that. I'm sad that he feels that way. But I'm glad that he let Kip know right off the bat so Kip knew what he was getting into. And at one point, Scott says, I wrote it down because this triggered me. He said, I want you more than anything I've wanted in a long time. And I'm a huge Interview with a Vampire fan. When I heard that, I was like, oh, red flag. It reminds me of what what Armand said to Louis. Pretty much the same thing. He said, I want you more than anything in the world. And if you watch my Interview with the Vampire reviews, you know I do not like Armand. So I thought, Kip, run, run. That was a lot. That was a lot. And we learned that Kip's been staying there, on and off, basically for about 2 months. So that's a long time. And we see Kip is very comfortable. He's like, oh, there are leftovers in the fridge, honey. I made it just for you. So yeah, he's a stay-at-home wag, which, again, you're with this hot celebrity man, this athlete, in New York. His apartment is beautiful. But it's a crime to stay inside when you live in a city as exciting as New York. I don't know how, quite frankly, now that I think about it, I don't know how Kip stayed around for 2 months like that. That's crazy. So they do a little dry run of, them going out in public together as two men. And of course, Scott with his sunglasses inside in the middle of the day. Anyway, so Kip is talking about the placement. He's being very domestic, like, oh, this would look really great in that hallway. And Scott here is thinking, if people hear this man talking about where in the apartment would be the best place to put this piece of art, they would guess that he either comes there very frequently or he lives there. And he has, he makes choices in terms of my decorations, my decor, and he can have that. And so when, Kip is talking, he gives him the shush that could be heard in all 5 boroughs. He had to shut that down. And then he has to excuse himself in front of that lady, and they go back to the apartment, and he apologizes, and, he cradles into Kip's, his neck or whatever, almost like a child, like he disappointed somebody. So he's really, really tormented, and I don't want that for Scott. That's not good. Now let's talk about Elena. So Elena is Kip's good friend. And I have thoughts about this as well. So I understand that she is upset that her good friend has finally met this great man, but this man is closeted. So Kip can't have a fulsome relationship with this person. He can't live the life that he wants to live because presumably, I'm sure Kip is out already. It seems as though he is. Well, he is. We know that. And so this man being closeted is kind of like making Kip compromise on his personal integrity and, cower in the dark alleys or cower back at the home. You can't be shown in public. And so the friend, rightfully so, is upset about this. So when they go to that gala and Elena talks to Scott and she basically tells all this to Scott and saying like he doesn't deserve this, like you shouldn't be with him or you shouldn't be in this situation because it's not fair to the friend, to her friend Kip. And I understand that. But do you think she was kind of overstepping? I personally do feel as though she was. I think Kip he knows her. We get the sense that she is a straight shooter. So he probably would guess, okay, if she's talking to him, she's going to be telling him these things. And I agree with everything she's saying. I just don't know if it's her place to say that. And again, it depends on their dynamic too. If they're pretty codependent and this kind of thing is normal, maybe it's okay. But I don't know if I would personally say that. Let me know if you would. And if you think I'm wrong, let me know why. Because I'm open to hearing other opinions, things I might not have heard of or thought of. So as I mentioned before, Scott makes a speech and he reveals that his parents were killed. And so we see like a little flashback kind of his entire speech. And he's again talking about the benefits of this organization, how it really saved him and, his hockey life and so on. And he said something, I wrote it down. He said, it's not just a scholarship, it's a whole world, a whole life. It's everything. So once again, he is taking this to mean that, hockey, everything is encapsulated in hockey. And he sees things in a very severe and intense way. He says he's an intense man. It's very zero sum with him. It can't be, this scholarship is good for people. And, if I'm out and I have a man who loves me, Kip, I could have a good life on that front as well. But no, he can't understand that. And then he and Kip have a conversation, I believe. I can't remember the exact details, but we learned that, Kip can no longer do this. He can't be the stay-at-home wag anymore, He has to be, with somebody who is fully out. And so he goes home, he's very upset, and his father is there to console him. And then later on, we see he has his birthday at the gay bar, the gay sports bar, and he's there with all his friends having a great time. And we see Scott on the outside looking in. So we know he wants to go there. He wants to be in there. He wants to be in that life. He wants to be out, but he just can't. So I feel really bad for Scott. And, we've got 3 episodes left. Who knows what's going to happen? Hopefully Scott can find some peace. He can come out. And that is it. So yes, well, that is all I have to say about episode 3. So I really like it. I hope everyone who is upset that they miss Shane and Ilya this episode, you got a really good episode right here. And it will be, I'm recording this right now. It is 10:12 p.m. on Wednesday night. The 4th episode drops at 11:59 and 59 seconds Eastern. So it's 12 hours or 24 hours, 25 hours. So very soon. So I'll be back on Saturday at the latest with my review of episode 4, which looks like it's going to be a very good episode because I've seen some screenshots of stuff that goes on. So until then, thank you again. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. I love discussion. I love talking to other people about this show. So I'd love to know your thoughts. Let me know everything. And I'll see you soon, okay? Bye.